Today, we're joined by Lucas Jenkins, CFO at Tantalus Labs. Lucas, thanks so much for joining us and for talking to us about your experience working with Enkel. So you initially started working with Enkel in September of 2019 and use Enkel to manage your accounts payable function. To kick things off, can you start by telling us a bit about Tantalus?
Sure thing. Nice to meet you, Robin. Tantalus Labs is a licensed producer of cannabis. We distribute cannabis across the country through government bodies in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, PI, and the Yukon. We actually registered our first international sale of cannabis to Australia in 2022, which is exciting. Tantalus Labs is one of the first licensed applicants under the ACMPR, which is a previous commercialized medical legalization platform. And we're issued the 45th license to legally produce and sell cannabis in Canada. Tantalus Labs operates out of a 75,000 square foot purpose-built greenhouse in Maple Ridge, and we cultivate around 3,000 kilograms of cannabis a year.
Wow. Okay, so tell me a bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, I started my career as a summer intern at KPMG. Omar, who's actually the founder of Enkel, and I articled together way back when. I worked in the audit practice at KPMG for 3 years. I then moved into the valuations and corporate finance department and obtained my chartered business valuator designation. I left KPMG when I was a manager and started working in the real estate industry, which is where a lot of people end up in Vancouver, as a VP finance for a developer focused in townhouse development in the Lower Mainland, as well as rental projects in the Seattle area. I started working with Tantalus. It was, a fresh startup in 2016. I was about the fourth employee there, and now we've got a team of about 80 plus individuals. You were asking about what a day in the life at Tantalus Labs would look like, and it's changed and evolved substantially during my time with the company. Starting out as a startup, pre-revenue, constructing our greenhouse, I kind of had to wear all hats and do all things. So, basic bookkeeping, all the way through raising capital. And so what's happened is we've grown and started to achieve the revenue goals that we had set out, and we're hoping to do 18 million this year. The team has grown, and my role within the company has changed and evolved. Less focused on bookkeeping. We've got Enkel to help support us, as well as our internal team. And so I've worked with financial modeling, budgeting, capital raises, investor relations. Really long hours at the outset, and really started to build a little bit of a better work-life balance as the team has been built out. A lot more time spent reviewing financials and mentoring and managing our team, and focusing more on complex issues and strategy.
Wow, big job. So let's go back in time a little bit. So what are some of the challenges you were facing before you started working with Enkel?
Yeah, I mean, technology has certainly been very, very helpful to the accounting world in terms of helping automate various processes. But there's still a significant administrative component. As much as I'd like to think there's a software solution that's going to facilitate AP and AR effectively, it's just not there yet. And so you do need boots on the ground helping that administrative component. And one of the challenges I think that most organizations have is typically when you bring in people at the ground floor, they'll do this administrative work for a certain period of time, but they want to grow in their own careers and they excel and surpass that administrative function. So there is a fair amount of turnover or growth within the organization, and you're having to backfill for this role. And so that's why, we tried to run this in-house for a few years, and we found, let's try an outsourcing solution where, this group is going to manage the turnover, and we're going to have a team of people that are helping us with the administrative components of AP. And as such, we've been working with Enkel on our AP solution.
Great. So basically you decided to move out to outsource and take it out of house because a lot of excessive turnover in the team, and just people don't want to do that job for a long period of time. They want to graduate to something bigger and better in their eyes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Awesome. So were there any concerns or reservations about outsourcing when you first started that?
Yeah, definitely. I think in any organization, especially at Tantalus, we do have a complex GL that helps us really understand our cost structure and where we find efficiencies. So from an AP perspective, where we're coding those items in our GL, it takes an element of understanding of our business to make it accurate. And that's the biggest, I think, concern when you're looking at outsourcing this function is someone going to take the care and attention to detail that's required. Although it is heavily administrative, it has to be done right because it drives a lot of decision making throughout our organization. So that was kind of the biggest factor contemplating. And so, at the outset with Enkel, it's not to say we didn't have our hiccups, but the team, every time you point out something that's like, hey, can we pay closer attention to this element? They rise to the challenge, they figure it out, and we don't see those mistakes happening again. So I think Enkel as a partner has continued to evolve with our business. And it's nice having them on our team and leveraging more than just one administrative AP person, but a team that understands what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And so it sounds like you and Omar, the CEO of Enkel, had a history of knowing each other way back in the KPMG days. Any other ways? Is that how Enkel got on your radar and how you started moving in that and now down the process of working with them? Or were there other ways that you found out or heard about Enkel?
Yeah, I mean, I first, we contemplated this idea of outsourcing. When I was even back in my KPMG days, there was an element of the audit practice that was exploring outsourcing to, India and other parts of the world where labor costs were lower. So it's something that I've noticed that there's been some sort of shift in accounting to try and elevate that outsourcing component. So when I started digging into it, I came across Enkel's name. It was probably on Google, and sure enough, through LinkedIn, Omar's the founder, and Omar and I knew each other, so it was kind of an easy foothold to let's go with someone and I know Omar from his KPMG days. He's obviously well qualified and just an awesome individual all around. So I was excited to kickstart with him.
Awesome. Okay, so let's move into your working with Enkel. What are some of the highlights of working with Enkel and having outsourced your AP?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, the element of worrying about turnover within your own enterprise around this entry level AP role it's kind of alleviated that pressure. I'm sure Enkel has to manage its own HR issues, but having to outsource that kind of administrative efforts on the HR front has been very helpful. And the other highlights are I'm not dealing with one individual that, they also need to take time off. They need to go away. Enkel's got a team of people supporting our AP function. It's always getting done. It's getting done on time. And we're not having to just rely on one individual. An organization of our size doesn't have an AP team that's significant. And so Enkel allows us to have a bigger team working for us in that function.
Awesome. And just from thinking about results, what results have you seen, whether they're soft or quantifiable, from working with Enkel?
Yeah, I think it's allowed the individuals within an organization elevate where they focus their attention to. There's obviously an element of review of the AP function. So Enkel is getting things to a place where we're spending a lot less time on the daily, entering invoices into our system. More so just getting our AP to a place where we're reviewing a batch full of payables and getting those released. And so those time savings from our team allows us to elevate and focus on more strategic elements. So a huge portion of every decision that's getting made across the organization involves some sort of financial component. And a lot of our team leans on the finance group for that analysis. And so it's definitely, focusing our accounting team on financial analysis more so than administrative work has really elevated our decision-making abilities at the company.
That's awesome. So any closing comments? That wraps up our questions. Just wanted to throw it out there and see if you had any closing comments you'd like to share before we end this interview.
Yeah, I think I think outsourcing, AP and even payroll is something we've thought about with Enkel, as well as the AR function. I know Omar and Enkel are probably looking at that as well. Technology's come a long way, and I think being quick to adapt to the new ways of thinking is going to help the business. Technology is extremely powerful, and it's only getting more powerful. And Enkel is at the forefront of the various technological tools that can help your AP, AR, and payroll functions succeed. And so it's been a joy working with Enkel. They've taught us new things around our tech stack for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Lucas. Really appreciate you sharing some of your feedback with working with Enkel, and all the best to you guys.
Appreciate it, Robin. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you.